Okay, welcome to the On Your Side podcast. I'm Gary Harper.
And I'm Susan Campbell.
Susan, what's going on today?
Oh, getting through the whole list of things to do. I feel like that's what I say every time, but that's what I'm always doing. I'm always scrambling from one thing to the next to the next to the next.
It doesn't matter what day it is. There's check boxes or boxes that need to be checked, I should say.
Do you know how many emails I have that are unread right now in my inbox?
No, really?
Like 76,000.
Well, what?
And that's not counting all of the emails that you and I get from people who are asking us to help them resolve their problems. That's just like the emails that I get.
So this is probably a reason why I email you and I don't hear back from Susan. It's like, is she ignoring me? No, you just don't check your emails.
Well, no, I do. I delete like hundreds a day.
Yeah.
I just can't get to all.
Oh my gosh, that sounds like a tall order.
You don't get that many?
I do, but I can't stand having them unread. So
you're at zero?
I'm just whizzing through them. Yeah.
I need to hire you to go through my inbox.
No, let's not go that far because I can barely keep up with myself. Hey, listen, we're coming up in March, and of course that's spring break.
Spring break,
and that also equates to traveling.
It sure does.
So your kiddos not really in school yet, so really not a spring break type thing.
Well, but they both get spring break
because
they're preschool and childcare, daycare need spring break.
Yeah.
So we're going on spring break.
Okay, so you do get a spring break because even though your kids really, I get it. Well, the teachers and staff, they need.
For sure. They need the break and the kids need a break too. Yeah. They're little. Yeah. So we're going to do just a little few days away from home.
Are you flying?
No.
Oh, so you're avoiding a lot of the headache then.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
We do a lot of flying, and I'm not scared to fly with the kids. I've done it by myself. I've done it with the husband, all of it. But yes, there's always an adventure, and I feel like there's always a story. And when you get to your destination, there's always like that debrief moment of like, you will never believe what happened this time.
Yeah, you get to your destination and whoever's picking you up and you're glad to see them, you're like, oh my God, you're not going to believe what happened at the airport.
What's the weirdest thing that has ever happened to you at an airport or on an airplane?
I mean, I don't really have crazy stories, but I do have things I don't like to happen. It annoys the beep out of me.
I like that you beeped yourself. What's the worst?
Okay. The worst thing the one thing I don't like, is that what you're saying? Okay. Middle seats on an airplane.
You just can't do them.
Okay. There's an unwritten rule that if you're in the middle seat, you own both armrests.
You get to spread out a little bit.
Yeah. That's your real estate. That's the only real estate you got. So if you're on the aisle, don't be coming in on me, man. Okay?
You have your own space.
And there was a guy flying next to me. Thank goodness it was only from Vegas. It's an hour flight. But he kept nudging my arm off. And I'm like, dude.
Did you play footsie with him or elbows with him the whole flight?
And then we got into a little verbal judo.
Did?
Yeah, we did.
Who won?
Well, who do you think? Come on. Come on. I talk louder than anybody else.
That's good.
Yeah. So, and then the other thing I don't like is the moving sidewalks. Stay to the right, folks.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay. Don't clog up the whole moving sidewalk.
Yep.
There's all kinds of things that people, I do like to people watch though. I love to sit in the bar and just kind of like watch people. I mean, you see all kinds of people and different things. And
it's crazy how casual flying has gotten too.
Oh, that's another thing.
People show up. I feel like when I was a kid, it was like a big deal.
Yes.
You go to the airport, you look nice, you're dressed, you're ready.
Right.
I jokingly always, my dad traveled a ton for work when he was, before he was retired. And he had a specific pair of shoes. They were like loafers. Right. And I called them his airport shoes because he looked nice when he went to the airport, And now it's like, if you're in your PJs, that's like extra dress.
I think people roll out of bed and grab their luggage that they packed the night before, because I can't tell you how many flannel PJs that I've seen with a T-shirt. One guy had his shirt like cut off like so much that he might as well have not been wearing a shirt.
Come on.
It was terrible. All right, I could talk about this all day, and we are. So we're going to be talking to Katy Nastro. She's with the travel website Going, and I think you're joining us from Miami, right?
I am. Yes, I am also traveling at the moment. So I am coming to you from Miami.
Oh, great. I love Miami, even though it's been years since I've been down there. Since you travel so much, and we're going to get into this, what's some of the annoying things that you've come across? I'm curious. I've talked about mine. Give me one of yours.
Yeah, it's really funny. There are definite pet peeves that people have about traveling. And, personally, I find that when people are boarding an airplane or even just heading to the lavatory in the back of the flight, putting their hand on sort of your headrest and not even realizing that maybe that person is trying to sleep, or just mind their own business. But you see almost like you have your eyes closed and you see a hand just sort of shark past you. I hate that. Yeah. That's a personal pet peeve.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
I totally agree.
I can picture that happening.
I've been a victim of that. I'm sleeping and somebody they yank on my headrest and it's over.
Sometimes it's to stick up for folks who may have been guilty of that, though. Sometimes it's unavoidable. You stand up to go to the bathroom and then all of a sudden you hit a little bump in the air and then it's like turbulence and you're like, ah!
That's a little different because
I get it.
That's probably going to wake you up anyway, but you don't need the hand.
The extra hand.
The extra hand. So Going did a little survey, which Susan and I found just kind of really cool.
Hilarious and fun.
So you did a survey on some of the most annoying things people see or witness or experience when they travel at the airport. Give us the top one. What was the most annoying thing that people said?
Now, I personally thought this was going to be the armrest debate, but no, actually what our travelers have said that they despise right now, 27% of our respondents said that they cannot tolerate or are just so sort of turned off by people coughing and or not wearing a mask if they're sick still, which I thought was pretty interesting. Coming in at number 2 was also not using headphones if you're listening to music or watching entertainment, which I find to be the absolute worst. But no, it is sort of coughing on an airplane these days.
I feel like that is something that I would comment on. Like if I see somebody coughing one row in front of me, it's like, oh, come on. I'm going to be sick for my vacation now.
Yeah. Well, that's why it's probably number 1 because you want to be
I want to be healthy.
You want to be healthy wherever you're going, right?
Yeah. I understand the headphone one though too.
Oh man.
We were on a flight one time. My husband was next to a guy and the flight attendant about 16 million times told him, "Sir, you have to put on headphones." And she obviously didn't want to escalate the situation, but he did not use headphones. He just kept watching. And so, my husband is turning up the volume of his headphones to try to drown out the noise of this random thing. And now it's like a weird, inappropriate movie. And my kids are overhearing shoot them up, bang up. And I'm like, what is happening?
At that point, I have to say something. I'm not going to sit there and.
Yeah, I didn't say. I just felt like if he's not respecting the flight attendant, he's not going to care what I have to say.
And you're up in the air then, right?
Yeah. What are we going to do? We got to get to our destination.
A similar thing with this, Katy, is people who talk on their speakerphone. I don't want to hear your conversation.
No.
Right?
A huge pet peeve of mine as well. I mean, of course, music. I don't want to listen to your music and I don't want to watch whatever you're watching, but I obviously don't want to listen to the conversation you're also having. And, they're always the person that is having that conversation on speaker to the absolute minute until we're ready to take off. They're still talking even when we're pulling away from the gate and you're just like, come on.
It can't be that important.
I got another one that just I got another one that just came to my mind. I don't see it on this list here, but you're at the gate and you're waiting and you're waiting and you're waiting, and then finally you board, and then right before takeoff, somebody has to go use the lavatory. What were you doing at the gate?
Yeah. Yes. The only time that's acceptable is if you're 3.
That's the only time, right?
Yeah,
absolutely. Or if you're 100, okay.
Sure, either age range.
I mean, listen.
Not in the middle.
At this point,
not in the middle.
You're going to hold it because you should have taken care of business before you got on the darn plane.
You know what? My least favorite, and it did actually make the list. I cannot handle when people stand up the second the plane parks at the gate.
Yeah.
We're all waiting in line. The people that rush and try to get off of the plane ahead of their row just infuriate me. Who does that?
Yeah. I've seen it before. Yeah. Just
every single time I'm on an airplane. And it's like, where are you going? What does this extra 1 minute do for you?
Okay, I got another one. Another one. I'm stealing your show, Katie. I mean, we're not even talking about your show. I just got another one.
It's okay.
People who bring on a 300-pound bag and then they look at me and expect me to help them out. It's usually a little 5'3" woman. And listen, I'm all about the chivalry. Listen, I'm opening doors and doing the right things, but no.
But you don't want it to be expected.
Listen, if you're dragging that thing around with a body inside, it looks like, then you're picking it up. You're not throwing my back out to put it in the over bin that's not even going to be able to hold it.
I hear you. And as somebody that is only 5'2", I make sure that I don't overpack so I can just take care of whatever I'm traveling with. I don't expect anybody to help me. I'm going to help myself.
Take care of yourself.
I love it.
All right.
We could go on and on forever. I do think that actually speaks to, on a very serious note of like funny things, it speaks to how frustrating just the industry has gotten because, the planes are full.
Yeah.
Right.
We are dealing with delays. There's weather. There's this, there's that. And it feels like when you're preparing for a trip, you are like almost like getting ready for battle. Like I have to prepare for all of these what ifs and the ands and this and that. Like, it's exhausting.
Everybody's trip is more important than the other guy's trip. And
that's not true.
And it's not true, but they put themselves first. And I'll tell you another thing, people lose their mind when they're 30,000 feet up in the air. They do the craziest thing. I saw one gal, she was long, blonde hair, okay, and then she takes it and throws it over her seat. So the passenger behind her has to stare at this stringy hair coming down. Yeah.
That's disgusting.
I like to refer to air travel as the Wild West.
Yes.
The minute you step into the airport, all rules go out the window.
Yes.
And then once you get on the flight, it almost feels like even worse sometimes.
I know. And you're in this tube and you can't do anything with these stupid people.
Right.
So I was going to say, Katie, help us be really good passengers. What are maybe the things, we talked about a lot of like the really obvious annoying things. What are some of the things that could make us a good fellow passenger or like some of those unspoken rules we should definitely never break that might be a little less common?
Right. So I think, just remember, obviously, you're not the only person taking your flight and being aware that, you're sort of giving up your personal space and, it seems like everybody's sort of in it together. But remember that, remember just being nice to your common man or woman or, whoever you're traveling with, just understanding that we're all in it together, not just on the plane, but in the airport as well. I just
thought of another one.
There we go.
This has become therapy for Gary.
It really has. When you and I brought this up, I thought it was going to be fun, and it is. But I feel like this is a counseling session, and I'm getting it off my chest.
I can see that.
So what about people who they don't eat, before they get on the plane? They got to bring
we're going to have a debate about this
big, fat Italian roast beef sandwich, and they open up the bag and booyah!
I am that person. I eat on the plane.
You what?
Yeah.
All right. Listen, if you're bringing pretzels or crackers, fine.
It's more annoying to hear somebody chomp on a pretzel or a cracker than it is a sandwich.
Listen, I have headphones, but I can't do anything with my nose. Oh my gosh! You are one of those violators.
I don't think that's a violation. I'm just taking up. If I have a 5-hour flight, why not take up the first 15 minutes with something delicious?
Okay, and you're also the person, I bet, that brings salmon and broccoli.
Oh, I am not, but you, sir.
Oh, I have a reputation in the newsroom with broccoli and sometimes salmon. That does stink, but listen, it's not a plane, it's a newsroom, so.
It's the same difference.
There's a lot of room for that odor to go.
I have absolutely no problem with somebody bringing on food.
Yeah.
I think
I agree. We're we're all in it together, but at the same time, we're people at the end of the day. We do want a snack. We do want a little bit of a sustenance. But I think sort of the unwritten rule there and just sort of plain etiquette is if you're going to bring food with you, just make sure it's not going to be anything with a serious odor. So that tuna sandwich, just, be kind to your fellow passengers and maybe skip that one for the trip.
What do you bring on, Susan?
So, I mean,
some big garlic onion salad.
No, but like we have a connection a lot of times in Charlotte, for example. And I feel like every time we're in the Charlotte airport, the only thing that's left open is like a Papa John's pizza place. So we'll get pizza, like personal pizzas for the kids and for us because it's dinner time and like.
Okay. That's
we'll
not
do
bad.
that. It's cheese pizza.
Okay.
Like it's not the grossest smelling thing. I'm not bringing on like a giant burrito that has, whatever.
Cilantro and all kinds of, Oh boy.
Know.
This makes me wish I can't wait for my next plane trip now. It's just so I can complain about everything. All right. Well, I feel like I am a good traveler. I'm fair with other people except when they move in on my middle armrest.
There you go. Well, speaking of that, Katy, you guys also asked people what their preference actually is. And this, I feel like, is the age-old debate. Do you want the window seat or the aisle seat?
Right. Yeah, we surveyed, thousands of people, and the vast majority actually prefer window seats, but only slightly, about 53% versus an aisle seat. There was only 1% that prefer a middle seat, and I completely understand why. You're sort of caught in between. You can't exactly use the window, but then again, you have to still tap your seat buddy to get out. Sometimes quick flights, you can sort of put up with it. But yeah, vast majority of people still prefer the window.
That surprised me. I always like the aisle if possible because I like the freedom of being able to get up and go to the bathroom if I have to.
Right.
Without having to.
The second I am locked into that window seat, I have like that anxiety of like, oh gosh, it's going to be hours before I can get up.
You have to pick your battles, though, right? I mean, so I used to be an aisle guy, but then I realized I can't really put my leg out into the aisle and stretch because it's just
you
not.
Trip over
it's
somebody,
not polite, and
Well, it's potentially really dangerous,
and it's a safety thing, so you can't do that. But
sure.
I have learned a window guy because you can just kind of like get away from the middle passenger and just put your head
snuggle up
and just put a one of your blankets or one of your pillows that is clean and you're out and wake me up when I land.
There you
go. I like that a lot
I
better.
call that the built-in bed.
Yes, it really
I always
is.
prefer a window seat just for that reason.
Absolutely.
I end up in the middle seat by default now because one of my kids gets the window and one of my kids gets the aisle. And I'm like the buffer in between so they don't fight with each other.
Well, that's what mothers are for. You have to be the referee. Hey,
you're entitled to both armrests, just FYI. The middle seat gets both armrests.
Yes.
So just know that you have that going for you.
That's an unwritten rule, but now, it's written down now.
Especially when it's my own children.
Exactly.
All right. Listen, great podcast, great conversation. Katy, thanks so much for being with us. If people want to find out more about you or about going, what do they do? How do we find you?
Yeah, go to going.com. We have our incomplete state of travel 2024 that has so much more, even has some info about what flight prices are looking like, how many people are looking to travel this year, and where they're looking to go.
All right.
Give us a little preview. Where do people want to go?
Right. So, of course, 54% of our respondents are looking to travel more internationally this year versus last year, as well as they're looking at hotspots. Of course, Europe is going to be popular, as well as over to Asia, which, because we are seeing more capacity over that way, we're hoping and fingers crossed to see more great deals over to Asia this year. So if you've got that sort of on your bucket list, maybe, 2024 is the year to explore across the Pacific.
It sounds like my son. He's in Brazil today. So
he's the explorer.
Yeah, he is the explorer. Yeah. So
he
good
goes
for him.
all kinds of fun
Oh,
places.
he does. I know. He's a worldwide traveler. So, all right. Hey, listen, thanks so much, Katy, for being with us. Great conversation, and we'll talk again soon.
Sounds good. Thanks so much for having me. And get going, everybody.
The On Your Side podcast is produced by Brad Denny. Our audio engineer and editor is Todd Martin. Segment producer is Colin Stanton. And I'm Gary Harper.
And I'm Susan Campbell. If you have a problem you can't resolve, maybe we can, send us a message through azfamily.com or our AZ Family mobile app. Look for the On Your Side section and leave us a message. Thanks so much for listening to the On Your Side podcast. And if you like it, leave us a review. We'll see you next week.
On Your Side is on Good Morning Arizona every weekday morning at 6:45 and 7 o'clock, and every weekday evening on Good Evening Arizona at 4 and 5 o'clock. You can also catch it on Arizona's Family News at 9 on 3TV every weeknight.